Well, good morning. Welcome to the campfire.
Hi, Mike. So I thought you were going to say something more. Like, hi.
Oh
Hi,
no,
Mike.
we'll do
You.
all that stuff. I do it in the post production, so I like to just jump right into the conversation. And I think a good place to start is actually talking about your background a little bit.
My background. I'm from the UK. I live in a place called Norfolk, which is very much to the east. Sort of that round bit at the side on the east, and it is very rural. I live quite close to the beach. I'm really lucky. Beaches nearby, woods nearby, a lot of farming land actually around us, so quite sort of arably. But my history is I'm a yoga teacher. That's where I started off. I've been teaching yoga for over 20 years. And I've come to this sort of energy work through just sort of natural causes, if you like. It's just kind of come to me over the years. And so, yeah, now I work with the chakras. I teach meditation, and I teach yoga, of course. But yeah, I'm very excited to talk to you because I feel like, you're being mindfully outdoors and this kind of the health and mental health and the physical health benefits of being outside for me are huge and so important. So I love that you're bringing this out to
There
more
was a
people.
there was a part in there that I really appreciated was how you just kind of fell into your work. That's a lot of how I found myself doing a lot of this as well as after experiences in life, it sort of shapes you.
Mm.
If you're open to it, you're willing to accept that not every horrible situation you go through is intended to be a horrible. It's intended to actually shape who you are. That's what a
Mhm.
lot of my mindful practice has taught me over the years.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree. And it actually makes life a lot more, I don't know, I was going to say bearable. And I suppose that's, if you are going through some really hard times, if you're going through the mill, through tough things, the idea that it is happening to you for some bizarre reason that you can't put your finger on, but that it is going to make you stronger, that you're going to come out the other side having learned lessons. It is, you know, we don't learn from having a nice, fluffy, happy time. We learn from having a really tough time, from going through it, from feeling the pain and coming out the other side and going, okay, I'm a stronger person. I've learned something about myself. I feel, however you feel, but it is, I do think that the tough times are the ones that actually really teach us a lot and teach us where we need to be in our lives and give us direction actually as well. Yeah.
That's where, at least in my experience, that's where the mindfulness really took hold because it shaped a new vocabulary around that struggle and that suffer aspect of life because none of us like to go through the difficult moments.
Mm.
But when you start to connect with yourself through an open heart and shifting of your perception of life, I feel like it really opens the door to discovery.
Amen to that. Absolutely. I mean, my discovery or I was blithely going along happily being a yoga teacher and practicing and teaching and so on for many years before I really got into the philosophical side, into the energetic side of yoga. And how did I get there? I ended up in a hospital in India. And that woke me up. And I had this physical situation that happened that there was no good reason for it. There was nothing wrong with me. I wasn't even dehydrated. There was nothing wrong with me whatsoever. But my body just came and just hit me square between the eyes and said, pay attention to me. I have messages for you. And that's when I started getting really interested in the energetic body and in the fact that we hold so much trauma in our bodies, that the muscles and the cells of our bodies have memory. It's quantum physics. It's that energy that we hold within us that stays there unless you work on it to release it in some way, shape, or form. And it is interesting, I love this work because so many of the solutions that I come up with are really quite simple. So, for somebody who is going through a tough time and they're not feeling safe or they're living in a state of anxiety and fear, that's very much this root chakra, that root energy, because that's where our foundations are. And this is one of the biggest places, or one of the biggest things that we can, the root chakra gives us, is a sense of groundedness. And it's that connection with Mother Earth, that connection with, and it's deeper than just kind of, oh, just get in nature and enjoy it. It's like, no, you are part of nature. Recognize that. Be with that. Be with your people. Be with your trees. Be with the sea. Be with whatever it is that resonates for you, because you and them are made up of the same material. They don't have trauma, but they can absorb your trauma. They can listen. There's energy in every single tree. By the way, I love this forest that's behind you. It's
See, I
so beautiful.
love where you no, well, yeah, it is actually. I love spending time just sitting around out here, and this is where it really dives in personally for me what you're talking about, because it's just as simple as having a bad day. You walk outside your back door, you come out here and you sit down, you feel that connection with nature. And where
Mm,
I was going to build on that is there's this unique flow within the circle of life. We have a voice. Everything else out there doesn't. We're kind of in charge of telling that story.
mhm,
But where it becomes really interesting is based off of the fact that we're all in a roundabout way living in the same sort of mentality, and that being survival mode. We see it physically through the behavior of animals and plants, but we don't think about it within the fight and flight experience and thoughts that we have.
mm,
It's all interconnected. And if you come outside, sit down, and just utilize that power of observation, you can learn how to craft the moments that you're feeling like you're in survival mode into a catapult to start to build a beautiful surrounding around you and
mm,
improve the camp that you're in.
mm. Yeah, yeah. And it is that connection that I think is really it's really vital. And there's a beautiful, what, as you were speaking, what came up for me was a quote, which obviously I can't remember the full quote because my brain isn't that good. um but it's from Carl Sagan, and he said something along the lines of, we are the vehicles, or the means through which the universe understands itself, because we are made up of everything from the universe. We're not like we're special and everything else is made up of something else. We are all made of the same material, yet we have consciousness with which to um, explore and investigate and ask the questions. And so we are the means by which the universe can begin to observe itself and understand itself. And so if we're not connecting with the elements, with our surroundings, then what are we doing? It's a it's a really, and of course there's so many people who live in cities, which are, the opposite of where you and I live, which but and it's completely necessary. But I still, when I speak to people who live in cities, I say you'd be amazed at how much nature you can find within the city. And I love seeing, I don't know if you've ever seen this, where they do a kind of an approximation of like if a city became completely abandoned, like 5 years time, 10 years time, 15 years, 20 years, whatever. And like the swiftness with which nature will take over where we are not. You just have to look at a garden that's not been tended for a couple of years. It's just like, full on every nature has taken over. And so, but if we're in an urban environment where we mostly see grey and concrete and lights and so on, there is still so much nature to be found. And I always encourage people to go looking for the elements. You can find earth, you can find water, you can find fire, you can find air, you know, you can find wood. If we bring and metal is the Chinese in the chakra system. We use these elements of earth connecting to the root chakra, water to the sacral, fire to the solar plexus, air to the heart. And then sound is the throat chakra element. And then it's up into the ethereal sort of sight, colors, and connection to the earth, connection to the universe. But I mean, I'm sure that even in your work and your mindful work that we all do or we try to do, connection to the stars, to the sun, to the moon, to all these celestial bodies that revolve, that we're within, are part of us. They're part of this whole, they're part of the outdoors, not just the woods and the sea and the obvious things. I like to seek out, you know, a tree that's just forced its way, even a weed that's just forced its way between a paving stone in the middle of a city. I think that can be just as beautiful and just as inspiring as, some redwood forest, which is awesome, but, nature will find its way. And that's something that we can notice on a daily basis. Every time you go out, you can find something to just notice. And I enjoy this idea of having a meditative kind of practice, which is really mindfulness, is just setting the intention that you're going to notice these things. And it's like when when you're looking for a car and you go, I want to have a yellow car, and then all of a sudden all you see is yellow cars everywhere. Like it's not like they weren't there before, it's just that you're beginning to notice them. And it's the same with this mindfulness work. If you say, I'm going to notice every little bit of nature that I can. So even like a fly that's like really annoying or a mosquito that you really don't want in your room, if you get to look at it and you go, my God, look at that. Look at that. It's an extraordinary thing. And you know that the fly's got these crazy eyes and all of, yes, it's annoying and it makes a buzzy noise and you probably don't want it in your room, but there is a way of being mindfully appreciative of every single bit of nature when it comes into your life. You can find it.
It's interesting that you mentioned flies because that actually it was funny. It's a funny story because a couple weeks ago there was like a 3 or 4 day period where it seemed like this one single fly was just following me around.
Oh, yeah.
And so I got kind of curious about it. I started exploring and, watching it, looking at its patterns and things that it does. And in the overall grand scheme of things, a fly actually represents change and the transfer of energy from one stagnant moment into the beautiful blossoming of the next. So it almost in a roundabout way resonates with me of this idea of just sitting within the moment and being
Mm.
comfortable where you're at, while meanwhile extending your heart into the idea of the process and fully engaging with that process in order to get where it is that you're trying to go.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm absolutely with you on that. I think that if you Um, it's almost a surrender, isn't it? When you begin to notice these small things and you surrender to the the reality of that thing that's in front of you. and begin to really appreciate it for what it is. It's yeah, pretty
It's a
pretty.
it's a lot of letting go. And
Hmm.
it's a lot of moments that involve feeling uncomfortable because you want the instant result and you're trying so hard to scratch at it that you're just driving yourself bonkers. But to think about it from the perspective of that fly moving from one moment gracefully into the next, it's inspiring as well. It
Mm.
almost soothes that fearful feeling.
Mm. Yeah, no, it does. I mean, I think watching any animal in the wild, birds or flies and any kind of insect, is always, it's an extraordinary thing that I think we find quite hard to do as humans to not ascribe it some kind of consciousness. Does it know that it's about to walk into a puddle, or does it, what is its aim? Why is it doing that? It must have a reason why this fly is here, or that caterpillar's there, or the butterfly's landed wherever. Like we like to, it's almost impossible for us to not give it some kind of reason in our human clever old brains. But to sit back and go, okay, it's literally just in this moment doing what it knows it needs to do. It is operating purely on instinct, purely on its own physical needs and what it knows is its task. And that is it. And it kind of blows your mind when you just let go of that much.
It it's mind blowing in the fact that it literally changes the narrative and the perspective of that story that you're telling yourself.
Yeah.
Because we all get caught up in that hamster wheel where everything's just spinning and spinning and spinning. And the outcome of that spinning is like this story of self-suffering. And we
Mm.
all latch into it because it's comfortable. It's easy. If everything goes wrong, then we don't have to accept the accountability. But when you shift it to that new perspective of actually looking for the details, you start to realize that you still have that power of decision. You decide what it is you're going to do with each thing, and that puts the accountability on yourself,
Mm.
which is hard, of course, because in the beginning you stumble a lot, but you get to look back at that and realize the learning moments, the moments that you can improve, and also uncover that all the tools you're trying to find in this world are already deep inside of you.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's an interesting thing to sort of dissect when we're looking at all of the difficult things that come up in our lives. And um, I think a big thing for a lot of people is the weight of responsibility that you have, and a lot of people, I think, you know, everybody has to look after their own survival, and survival is essentially in this day and age, it's make money so you put a roof over your head and buy food and clothes and the basic needs, food, water, shelter. Um, but that responsibility to do that can be really weighty because the world is and the society is telling us, well, you need to do it this way, or you should do it that way, or look at what all these people have managed to get, and you're still struggling to get, the basics or whatever. And it's very demoralizing. Um, but if you can change the narrative around, say, for example, the word responsibility, I love to look at the word responsibility as your ability to respond. Now, you want to have the ability to respond to whatever situation. You don't want to give away your power. You don't want to give away the the um the decision making in your life. You want to be able to respond. You want to have that ability to respond. So responsibility, then, instead of it being coming this heavy weight that can be really kind of like drag you down, it's actually an empowering thing to have. It sort of lights a bit of a fire inside you. You go, actually, yeah, I do have the ability to react and to respond and to in whichever way I choose. I have free will to respond, to react, um, in whatever way that I want to in this moment. And that gives you such power and autonomy over your own energy that you then take a moment when it gives you that spaciousness to go, actually, I can sit back here and I can make this decision for myself. And yes, there may be people jumping around all around me going, make a decision. What are we going to do? Da, da, da. But actually, unless there's a fire somewhere and instant decision making is required, you know, you have the ability to respond in your own time, in your own way. And that is so empowering. So yeah, what you're saying about this ownership of your narrative, your ownership of how you react to people and to react to the world, and is super empowering because it allows you to go, do you know what? I'm just going to stay in this bathroom stall for another 30 seconds. I'm just going to shut the lid, sit down, and just breathe. Just 5 big breaths, and I'm just going to chill. Or actually, I'm going to walk out and I'm going to go and talk to that tree. I mean, that's what I do. I like to talk to trees, but I'm going to go out and I'm just going to take a few breaths of air. I'm just going to go and look far into the distance and think about nothing for a minute. And nothing bad is going to happen. Like I have that ability to just take those moments for myself. And that's what I'm talking about when I talk about this kind of, and I'm sure what you do as well, this mindfulness, this way of living mindfully, um, is all about not letting the world take over you and go, no, come on, you've just got to toe the line. We're making the decisions and you've just got to obey. It's like, no, actually, I have the responsibility to myself because if I'm not operating well, then you're certainly not going to, your boss or your partner or your kids or whatever, they're not going to get the best out of you. You have to put on your own oxygen mask first. And if it takes you a minute to make that decision and rather than 5 seconds, so be it, or even if it takes you 2 weeks to make that decision rather than, that afternoon. I think that's a very empowering idea to hold within you.
I think actually that idea really helps somebody shift their whole perception of freedom,
Mm,
because a lot of us walk around where our freedom revolves around the results of the job we get pushed into, all
mm,
the stress and tension of the lives that we just kind of fell into. But,
mm,
as to get back into the beginning of this conversation, when you fall into those different positions, you still have choices to
mhm,
slow down and look at the environment around you and figure out how you can craft all of those specific pieces of the environment into a way that's going to speak your heart.
mm,
And that's what freedom truly is. And I think when you look at it from the outside out at what mindfulness teaches, it can often be scary and it can often be intimidating. you
mm,
know off in the distance, there's a squirrel that's been, actually there's two of them now, that have been kind of hanging out and just collecting nuts off the tree. And we look at a squirrel, especially this time of year, just randomly planting and burying their seeds for the winter.
mm,
There's also that ability within us to use those decisions and that freedom to do the same, to start stocking up on things within the environment around us, so that whatever it is we end up encountering down the road, we're prepared.
mm. Yeah, no, I love that, and you're absolutely right. And I really love to use the elements in that kind of way, actually, in terms of like letting the elements really nurture you. So, let's take water, for instance. So if you are near a body of water, a stream, a river, a sea, lake, whatever you've got, that you see. I mean, in even just looking at a video of a beautiful sea or whatever will help in this endeavor. But water is constantly changing. Water is never, never still. You know, a body of water, even if it looks absolutely mirror still, it is not. It is always the particles within it, always moving. It is fluid. It will change. It will adapt. It will find its way. It will erode rock. It will get its way through it will find the fissures through which to travel. It will get to where it needs to be. I think water's really inspiring just on that basis. You know, if you look at fire, so even just lighting a candle or having it like you do, have a lovely campfire or you know, a log burner in your home or whatever, the energy of the fire, just spending time looking into a flame, a beautiful natural flame like that, is really empowering. You know, it's akin to looking at the sun, if you like. So if you're looking at a flame and you're like, this is the same kind of power, the energy, the fact that it can destroy, burn away the things that you don't want. It can be cleansing, it can be warming, it's nurturing, it will help you keep warm and cook your food, you know, if you're getting caveman styly. And that again, super inspiring. Again, everybody's surrounded by air all the time. Even if you're indoors, okay, you've got air. Even if it's air conditioned air, we can still feel into each breath, each life-giving breath, the flow of the winds, the power of the winds, the mythology of the winds, all of these elements that we can connect with. And that's not even getting into the fertility of the earth, the steadiness, the st foundations, the you know, fecundity of the earth. So whenever you look at an element out there, you can take in and appreciate and absorb some of the qualities that it has, whatever you need, you know, and you can sit with yourself and go, I wonder what am I'm feeling a bit, oh, not great. What would actually really perk me up? Would it be a nice piece of grass, a river, a nice warm fire, a breath of, you know, a lovely warm breeze on my face? What would feel really good in this moment? And the answer will come to you because your body knows and you're so connected to the earth. You just ask that question and it will come up for you. And if the answer is chocolate, then great, because chocolate comes from nature. Whatever, whatever the answer is the right one for you in that moment. But having an awareness of the elements, earth, water, fire, wind, can be really nurturing and really, really healing.
I think healing and teaching. Yeah, I
Oh yeah.
think those are by far some of the most teachable moments that we can experience in life.
Yeah.
Is just watching nature in its element.
Yeah.
And it gets back to where we talked about the power of observation.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid sometimes to actually just walk out on a trail, put your back against a tree
Mm.
and just watch, because there is so much life and action happening around you that it's beneficial for all of us.
Mm.
And I think that's one of the beautiful parts about this conversation is that it ties together two different avenues that all reach the same destination.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree. And um there is nothing more healing than sitting with your back against a tree. Uh, I the other day, I was in Somerset, the other side of the country, and went for a walk in the woods and stumbled into this extraordinary beech forest. And I love beech trees because their bark is just so smooth and sexy, and it's just delicious. And you know, there was lovely moss at the base of the tree, and that point where the tree meets the earth, that is the point of of real energetic power as far as I'm concerned. So when you sit with your bum at the base of this tree and your back against the tree, you're really tapping into the flow of energy that is going from the roots and up that trunk is you're joining in with that. And the tree has no problem with that. It's like, yes, come sit, join in. We've got energy. It's all good. And you become part of the forest. You become part of the connection with the mycelium under the ground that connects all of the trees and right up to the branches. And there is nothing more peaceful and yeah, and healing. I agree.
Absolutely. I think, regardless of how you come into the journey, it's one that's worth taking. It's one
Mm,
that's worth accepting and just enjoying, embracing the adventure of the experience.
mm. Yeah.
As our time starts to wind down, I want you to talk to someone that may be in those very shoes, that are just starting to become curious about the adventure with the nature and the power to find healing and growth within it. How do they get started?
I think the first thing to do is accept that healing is entirely possible and that you don't need my I think my advice is nobody else, and this is going to sound a little bit scary, but nobody else can really heal you other than yourself. But if you have nature on your side, if you have Pachamama, Mother Earth on your side, which you do, then anything is possible. I do a lot of meditations where you connect down deep into the earth. Like imagine sort of burrowing all the way down through the earth, through the rock, through the clay, through the crystals, through the water, down into that hot center of the earth. You imagine the amount of energy that is within this planet that we live on, and that you have access to that. You just simply need to ask the question, please, can I connect with it? It is as simple as that. There is no special formula, there's no special dance that you have to do in order to get admitted into this energetic well that is there for you. So not only is Mother Earth there to support you and hold you like the loving, caring mother that you could most loving and caring mother that you could ever imagine is there for you, but she will also take your uh I'm trying not to use a rude word, your rubbish. She will take whatever stuff you have that you don't need, that is no longer serving you, that is your distress and your anger and your frustration and your disappointment, and she will take it all. And if you think about what cows produce and we spread it on the land as fertilizer, she will take yours and she will create fertilizer for the rest of the planet by giving. And all it is for me, I go to the sea because I live near the sea and I feel like there's a power in that sea. I go to the sea, you could go to the woods, you could go to your little piece of land, you could just go to a weed coming out of a pavement and give it your stuff that you don't want to hang on to anymore, the stuff that is not serving you, the stuff that is dragging you down. Just go, I give it to you. Are you there? Can you take it? Here it is. And you just speak it out. For me, I'm always the mad woman on the beach speaking to the sea. Um, but it is so enlivening and firming to just make that connection. So my advice, if you're starting off on this journey, is to just go and sit in your chosen bit of nature with your chosen element. You could just be sitting in your flat on the 37th floor of an apartment on the 37th floor, nowhere near nature, but maybe you have a crystal and you can hold on to that crystal. And this is part of Mother Earth. This is from the earth. and do the same thing. Just ask it, please, can you take this stuff? Can you give me some strength and trust that it's going to work? And that's my best advice for just beginning. Just trust. Just trust that Mother Earth has your back. The universe has your best interests at heart, and nature is the conduit through which it will hold you, nurture you. Yeah.
I think that's one of the most beautiful invitations for somebody to take a journey that I've heard in a long, long time.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. So somebody's going to pick up this journey. How do they get in touch with you, work with you? What do you got coming up? All that good stuff.
All the good stuff. Well, the way to find me is to search Chakra Way. That is my business. And on my website is chakra-way.com. But you can find my podcast where I do meditations and so on if you just search Chakra Way. And I offer courses on the chakra system. I offer one-to-one consultations. I do chakra readings. So if you're interested in finding out where your energetic body is at and getting a lot of solutions, then you could book a chakra reading with me, which is, yeah, it's quite something. I use a pendulum, and again, I just connect with energy to find out where a person's at within their energetic body, and we go really detailed, so we can really find out which bit of which chakra is out of balance or closed, and then for me, a lot of the work is having awareness. Once you know a lot of this, once you have a basic understanding, everything else, it's like learning a kind of, it's like someone handing you a map. You're about to go off for a long hike, and someone gives you a map and goes, there it all is. All of this learning, all of this growth, all of this development, all of this understanding is all out there. Just go and search for it, and here's a map. It's the chakras. For me, that's how that works. So that's what I do. I like to offer people guidance on their journey because everybody's journey is different. But I feel that the chakras and the energetic body underlies everything. And if you want to take it in whichever direction you want to take it in, the chakras are a great place to start. So that's what I offer.
I think that's beautiful, and that's an amazing and exciting journey,
It
to be
is.
honest with you, that anybody can take.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Which is the fun part of mindfulness, because we get these like preconceived notions of what it is, but the truth is anybody can do it in
Mm.
any form that's comfortable for them.
Yeah, I think that's the really important thing to know is that people look at sort of various healing modalities and they go, oh, that's a bit woo-woo, or that's a bit, tame, or that's a bit, it's not for me. There is, I guarantee you, a thing out there that is going to ring your bell and make you excited and engage you. And it's just a matter of a little bit of searching around. So yeah, I mean, and mindfulness is everything in terms of all of this work. It all begins with being mindful, which is basic having an awareness, having taking the time to be aware of what you're feeling, what you're thinking, where you are, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's good work. It's the best work.
It's
Fulfilling.
all it's all about being present in the moment.
Mm. Exactly, exactly. Yeah, because now is the only moment we have, right? Like yesterday's not here, tomorrow's not here. It's like now, this moment, you and me talking. That's all
Yes,
that actually exists in this moment.
exactly. Well, as our moments come to an end, I want to thank you for taking the time to have this beautiful conversation. It's been a blast. I would love to do this again down the road sometime.
I would love that. It's been really great chatting to you, Mike. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. I don't believe in the words goodbye, they're too final. So until we meet again, whether it's this life or the next, I
See you
wish you a
later.
safe and prosperous journey.
Thank you.